Hi Metalheads, willkommen zu Metalheads Forever, schon 956 am 16.09.2025. Schön dabei seid zum ersten Interview in dieser Woche. Und was soll ich sagen, ein geiles Interview geworden, langes. Holt euch Popcorn, holt euch Whisky, holt euch Bier, Kaffee, Wasser, Tee, was ihr braucht für eine geile Sendung. Wir haben nicht nur Markus Pfeffer wieder hier und auch noch zwei Granaten an Sängern. Freut euch, liebe Freunde, Barnabas ist wieder mal da mit einem geilen Album, Over the Horizon. Und darüber reden wir, hören sehr viel gute Musik. Aber erstmal gibt es einen Anheizer, und zwar 1716, Find Another Day, featuring David Friedman. Ich würde sagen, let the madness begin.
This kind of battle you didn't foresee. What is real and what is not? Out of touch with reality. Something must have hit your blind spot. Fighting out the day before love fades away. Fighting out the day on the bridge of decay. Fighting out the day.
Das war 1716, Find Another Day, featuring David Friedman. So, liebe Freunde, erstmal Soundtrack und dann Interview. Und zwar jetzt Barnabas, featuring David Kegel und Platform of a Star. Viel Spaß. Jetzt freue ich mich auf einen wiederkehrenden Täter, der schon so oft bei mir war. Und heute haben wir einen unglaublichen Gast. Das ist eine Premiere heute. Dieses Interview ist eine Premiere, denn noch nie hatte ich in über 940 Shows 2 verschiedene Tage für ein Interview. Und das werden wir später im Interview noch ein bisschen erzählen. Und jetzt gibt es erst einmal ein Hallo zu meinem lieben Freund Markus Pfeffer von Barnabas Kai.
Hallihallo, schönen guten Abend. Freue mich mal wieder dabei zu sein. Ich habe auch vergessen oder verpasst mitzuzählen. Vielleicht ist es sogar die magische 7. Freue mich tierisch wieder mit dabei zu sein. Hallihallo.
Ja, irgendwie, lieber Markus, irgendwie habe ich das Gefühl, du bist doch beteiligt in dieser Show, weil du bist halt absolut unschlagbar bei so vielen Projekten. Und ich habe mir heute wieder gedacht, was für ein Händchen, was für eine Musik wieder, das Album Over the Horizon, über das wir heute sprechen natürlich, und deine Gäste wieder mal ein Album rausgehauen. Bei so vielen Alben, da müssen wir jetzt mal kurz drüber reden. Bevor wir drüber reden, ich brauche dich jetzt nicht mehr vorstellen, oder? Das können wir lassen in Zukunft, weil dich kennt man jetzt mittlerweile, was du schon gemacht hast. Und wir haben gerade gehört, Platform of a Star, das war das erste Video überhaupt. Erklär mal kurz für alle, die Barnabas Kai nicht kennen, was dahinter steckt, was da die Idee dazu ist, wie Barnabas Kai entstanden ist, mit so vielen verschiedenen Sängern. Und gib mir mal eine kurze Einführung zu Barnabas Kai, bevor wir über den Song Platform of a Star reden.
Okay, dann greife ich vor, zumindest deute ich an, dass gleich jemand kommt. Ich nenne den Namen vielleicht noch nicht. Also, 2021 saß ich zu Hause und nochmal kurz auf die Frage, die du nicht gestellt hast, warum habe ich so viele Bands oder Alben oder Projekte? Ich schreibe einfach zu viele Songs. Ich schreibe einfach zu viele Songs für eine Band. Ne? Also ich saß da, habe einen Riff geschrieben und dachte dann, das Riff klingt irgendwie nach ja, drei Silben. Ich sage aber jetzt die Band nicht nach der Band. Wäre eigentlich cool, einen Sänger zu haben, der klingt wie der Sänger dieser Band, der den Song singt. Dann dachte ich, nee, wäre eigentlich viel cooler, genau den einen Sänger zu haben. Ne? Und es war Pandemie, alle saßen zu Hause. Und dann habe ich diesen einen Sänger einfach, weiß nicht, per Mail oder per Facebook angeschrieben, ich glaube über seine Website tatsächlich, gesagt, hey, bin Markus Pfeffer, habe ihm 2 Videos mitgeschickt, die Links zu Lazarus Stream, damit er auch sieht, dass ich auf einem gewissen professionellen Level arbeite. Sag, hey, das ist so die Art von Musik, die ich mache. Ich habe eine neue Songidee und eigentlich höre ich da deine Stimme. Hättest du Lust mitzumachen? Und er, derjenige der später noch dazu kommt, der hat dann relativ direkt zugesagt. Und das war damit die Geburtsstunde von Barnabas Kai, weil ich gesagt habe, also wenn er mir zusagt, der Sänger der Band, die ich hoch und runter gehört habe, 1991, 92, als ich fürs Abi gelernt habe.
Aufpassen auf das Datum, Freunde, 91. Da hat es einen Hit gegeben, der ist so weltweit so durch ich glaube, in jeder Kneipe gespielt worden, oder? Kann man so sagen.
Genau. Und da habe ich gesagt, wenn der mitmacht, dann schaffe ich auch, dass andere Helden meiner Jugend mit mir vielleicht 1 oder 2 Songs zusammenschreiben. Und so ist Barnabas Kai dann damals eben entstanden. Interessanterweise, um das vorwegzunehmen, dieser eine Sänger, der erste, der zugesagt hat und damit im Prinzip schuld ist, dass es Barnabas Kai überhaupt gibt, der hat deswegen auch auf jedem Album immer den Opener-Track. Das hat für mich deswegen eine tiefere Motivation. Jedes Album muss von ihm eröffnet werden, weil er gemeinsam mit mir sozusagen das Projekt geboren hat. Ne? Und deswegen, da sind verschiedene Leute mit dabei, sehr bekannte, auch mal ein bisschen weniger bekannte, aber Leute wie jetzt Zach Stevens von Savatage, Rob Rock war beim ersten Album mit dabei, Danny Martinez, eher weniger bekannt, aber auch ein toller Sänger von Guild of Ages, ist eher so ein Insider-Tipp, Doogie White von Rainbow war beim zweiten Album dabei, Dan Reed von Dan Reed Network, also schon Leute, die man kennt. Und um das jetzt kurz noch am Ende abzuschließen, das war und ist für mich natürlich eine Erfahrung. Damit ist ein Traum wahr geworden, den ich eigentlich nie zu träumen gewagt hatte. Also vor der Pandemie hätte ich mich nie getraut, Leute wie Rob Rock oder Zach Stevens oder auch Steve Grimmett von Grim Reaper, dessen, glaube ich, tatsächlich letzte Aufnahme zu Lebzeiten dann auf dem Debüt von Barnabas.
Jesse Damon möchte ich nicht vergessen, ne?
Damon beispielsweise auch, hätte nie gedacht, dass die Leute mit mir Musik machen. Ich bin einfach nur Markus Pfeffer aus Kaiserslautern. Aber sie haben es gemacht und wie du auch sagst, das hat natürlich schon auch dazu beigetragen, dass ich in dem Melodic-Rock-Sektor jetzt schon einen gewissen Respekt spüre, weil die Leute sagen, naja, wenn solche bekannte Sänger mit dem Markus Pfeffer musizieren, ja, dann ist das schon eine gewisse Art von Gütesiegel. Ja, nicht zuletzt Tony Harnell. Ne? Tony Harnell von TNT ist jetzt auf einem neuen Album dabei.
10.000 Lovers. Mensch.
Ja, das ist eine Legende natürlich. Ne?
Ich sag's ja. Und dann nicht Dirk Kennedy, hast du auch noch nicht erwähnt.
Genau, das war ein bisschen später. Der Kennedy war, glaube ich, 93, 94. Das zweite Album von Hitman hatte mich total geflasht. Und als ich mit meiner Band Skale damals relativ viele Auftritte spielte hier in Südwestdeutschland, bin ich immer nachts rumgefahren mit dem Kleistereimer und der Leiter im Auto und habe halt Plakate überall hingehängt, wo man sie nicht anhängen durfte. Und habe da nachts immer Flying Horse und Red Bull getrunken und Hitman, die Vivas Machina, hoch und runter gehört. Und das habe ich dem Dirk per Mail geschrieben, in der ersten Mail, die er überhaupt von mir bekommen hat. Ja, und jetzt inzwischen tatsächlich schon 4 Songs zusammengeschrieben. Ganz toller Sänger, super netter Typ übrigens auch.
Absolut. Und den werden wir auch kennenlernen. Das wird sowieso heute eine Show, wie ich sie noch nie gehabt habe. Denn wir haben der eine Sänger ist in Spanien, der andere ist in Amerika. Du bist wie immer natürlich, oder bist du bist zu Hause, glaube ich, ja genau.
Ausnahmsweise mal zu Hause in Kaiserslautern. Ausnahmsweise.
In Kaiserslautern. So, liebe Freunde, jetzt eine kurze Beschreibung noch zum ersten Song, weil unser Stargast heute, also gerade jetzt, ist schon, der schaut uns schon zu. Ich sehe ihn schon. Ich möchte nicht gar nicht so lange warten lassen. Erklären wir mal kurz Platform of a Star. Das war das erste Video vom neuen Album Over the Horizon. Kurzes Statement dazu.
Tatsächlich ist der Sänger David Cagle. David Cagle habe ich selbst erst das erste Mal gesehen in einem Video einer Band namens Silent Tiger. Silent Tiger ist eine Band von einem Musiker namens Jean Funès. Ich hoffe, dass ich es richtig ausgesprochen habe. Ich glaube, der ist aus Venezuela. Auf jeden Fall haben die auf demselben Label das Album Silent Tiger rausgebracht. Ich habe mir das Video angeguckt. David Cagle fängt an zu singen und ich sage, wow, was eine Stimme. Den will ich bei Barnabas geil haben. Haben noch 10 Sekunden später eine Mail geschrieben, weil ich irgendwie auf Facebook verbunden war und gesagt, willst du mitmachen? Dann schreibe ich dir 1 oder 2 Songs. Er war relativ schnell dabei und tatsächlich, ich habe halt bewusst so ein bisschen AOA, Melodic Rock Song für ihn geschrieben, 2 dann an der Zahl. Tatsächlich aber ist er eher so ein introvertierter Typ. Deswegen hat er so Video-Interviews hat er gesagt, ist nicht seins, er bleibt lieber im Hintergrund. Ne? Insofern ganz, ganz interessant, dass er aber trotzdem einen Text geschrieben hat. Platform of a Star handelt eben nicht von jemand, der sehr extrovertiert ist, sondern von jemand, der Zweifel an sich selbst hat. Und er singt, glaub einfach an dich, zieh das durch, woran du glaubst und am Schluss wirst du es auch schaffen. Und das passt natürlich auch so ein bisschen zu dem ganzen Barnabas Sky Ding, das ich da so durchgezogen habe. Und deswegen fand ich das ganz schön, weil dieser Grundgedanke, dieses wage was und du wirst am Schluss erfolgreich sein, das steht so ein bisschen auch für das Projekt an sich. Und deswegen habe ich den Song eben als Videosingle auch ausgewählt, weil er ist sicher nicht der bekannteste Name auf dem Album, aber ich fand den Song und die Aussage des Songs eben so, ich sag mal,
absolut
unterstützenswert, cool. Einfach mal nach außen zu tragen.
Ja, absolut cool. Ich finde das ganze Album wieder absolut so gelungen, absolut stark. Und jetzt freue ich mich gleich. Jetzt muss ich jetzt den Song ansagen. Jetzt können wir auch die Katze aus dem Sack lassen, welcher Gast heute da ist. Und ich freue mich unglaublich, da bin ich dir ewig dankbar, dass du diesen Sänger heute mitgebracht hast als Gast. Jetzt gibt es erstmal The Sign of the Wolf. Und danach holen wir ihn rein. Nämlich The Legend. Sag's an, du darfst ansagen.
Danny Vaughn von Tyketto.
Yes! So, erstmal den Song und dann holen wir rein. Hier ist The Sign of the Wolf, featuring Danny Vaughn.
The tide is high with heavy weather. The winds of of war blow all together. The lightning lights the night before the fall. Sailing ships that bear the raiders, symbol of the grim invaders. The horn is blown, the gods will hear the call to the sign of the rise.
Das war das Sign of the Wolf. Und jetzt sagen, are you ready for rock and roll? Jetzt freue ich mich auf eine liebe die Legende. Welcome to the show, Danny Vaughn.
Hi guys. Hello everyone.
Sorry,
Hi, Danny.
we let you waiting. I watched you because when he starts to talk, Markus, it's over. He loves to talk and he has fire in him. Danny, I'm so happy and I'm honored to have you on board. It's unbelievable. What a singer, what a voice, and you have a fan here since the first album. I love it. Don't come easy. But you're not here today for Tyketto because you promised me already I have you in a show, maybe with the new album next year. So
yeah, we'll definitely talk about that.
Freunde draußen, kurzes Deutsch. Tyketto kommen in die Show, hat ihm heute zugesagt, der gute Danny Vaughn. Danny, congratulations to this great song. I love it. The Sign of the Wolf. But before we talk about the song, give me a little story how everything with you started in your what rock and roll, how rock and roll come in your life, and you come.
We don't have that much time.
I think that there must be a beginning. I think there must be a beginning. I guess it must be in the 70s, and the 70s, 80s.
Yeah, I started a little late with rock and roll. My parents listened to all kinds of music, with the exception of the Beatles. That was always in the house, always. But it was a lot more folk music and what I guess nowadays is called world music. There was a lot of different things going on in my house. I didn't really start finding my way to rock and roll until, like you say, in the 70s. I was probably about 13 or 14.
Same for me.
Okay.
Exactly same for me.
At a friend's house, they put an album on, and you're like, "What's that?" You know, and you just start to get involved from there.
It's this was so crazy time, especially 1991. This was this time just between the hair metal time and grunge, and I remember I had a pub in my hometown, and I bought always in my record dealer albums, 20 albums, you know, and sometimes I saw the cover, bought it without, you know, then we listening in my pub. We had all Metalheads, you know, and I remember when the very first time I played Forever Young, and this was like a hymn. This was our hymn in this time because it was so dark already. You know, you can see Nirvana coming, and this is a change, and then comes this positive, fantastic chorus, which is still alive today. And I watched some videos with you, and this is the hit, but. The problem, I guess, if you have a hit like this, it's like Final Countdown. You write one time Final Countdown, and then everything after you write, it's like a curse. Is it with a hit like this also? How you see this after 30 years now?
I've had different opinions at different times in my life. There was definitely a time where I was tired of it, you know, because. You know, you have to play if I'm playing acoustically, if I'm playing with, you know, another artist or with Tyketto or a solo band. It doesn't matter. I'm going to have to play that song. But the thing about that is that you come to realize that once you put a song out into the world, it doesn't belong to you anymore. And you don't have say over that. And if people take something you've created and make that a part of their life, like, a mark of a period, or it can be a good time, a bad time, whatever, but it becomes part of their life tapestry. I mean, that's a very, very big deal. And so you don't want to disrespect that. I think that's the important thing. So even, you know, and the other problem with Forever Young is, of course, it has to be the last song of the night. And
everybody's waiting for the song.
I got to hit that long fucking note all the way at the end, no matter what, you know? So, you know, there are moments where that song comes up, and if I have been particularly active on stage that show, I'm like, okay, hang on, you know, take a breath, get ready. You know, when I was 25, no problem. But now I have to be smart about how I do it. But the important thing is that I get to see what happens when I play it. And that makes all the difference. You know, when the smiles light up, when people are jumping up and down, and, you know, this is something they've been waiting to hear. Some people, I went to Brazil, people were crying, you know, because they said to me, I've been waiting 30 years to hear you sing that song. You know? So, yeah, you learn to respect what it means to the audience and don't worry about your own ego at all.
I found out when I talk to legends like Herman Frank from Accept and ask him about Metal Heart or Balls to the Wall or Faster the Shock, if it's bored to play them. No, it's an honor. Or Rudy Sasso, same. Or Marco Mendoza, all the old fellas, you know, who does it since 40 years. I said, no, it's an honor, you know, because it's I think there was a time, like it says, 20 years ago maybe, but after a while, you know what you do with the song. You give the people joy, and this is all about, especially today in this more or less dark times, you know, for music, you know, where you cannot make any more money with record sales, you know, it's streaming, but the joy is still there, and that's the most important. This is the if you lose this passion to play your songs to the people, it's better you pack it in. Is my opinion.
Yeah, and you know that may happen with a lot of us, because if we can't find a way to balance the cost of playing,
yes,
you know, we can't play, and it's getting harder. But I will tell you a funny Accept story, because to me, I think this is so typically German. I love this. I was playing at a festival a couple of years ago, and Udo was on the festival, and I got to meet him at one point. I don't know if he speaks any English or not. I have no idea. But I just went up to him and said, you know, I said, when Metal Heart came out, none of us had ever heard anything like that. It was so amazing. I said, and I bought it on CD again recently, and I still think it's one of the best sounding metal records ever made. One of my favorites. Yes. And he looked at me and he went, good, and walked away.
Well, he's not a man of many words then.
You see, I think there is a secret why you still can do it now, because you are a fan. That's a secret. Yeah. Because that's the last question before we talk about your songs on the album. What singer influenced you? What was actually the song? Tell me, give me two.
I could give you 100.
Yep.
I mean, influence is a funny thing, because you might not hear in the way I sing, but somebody like Stevie Wonder, I still listen to all the time. And I think everything you need to know about how to sing is on those records, you know? Steve Perry was a big influence when we were starting. Funny enough, when we first put Tyketto together, and we weren't even a band yet, and we were discussing who do we want to be like, what do we want to sound like, what type of band. We wanted to be like Night Ranger. That was
okay.
We were after, and originally we were going to have 2 guitar players, and then we realized 2 guitar players is too much of a headache, so we didn't.
Brad is a beast, huh? Okay, so let's talk about the Sign of the Wolf. And I forgot to ask Markus, because I know from Markus his project, he never writes actually some lines for lyrics or melodies. Was it the same with you? You got the track, and then okay, he's yours. What can you give me? Was it the same like this?
Yeah. That's how it came across. Yeah, I mean, what is this, Marcus? What, we worked on 3 projects together now?
4 let me think. Let me think. On the first album we had 2 songs. on the second one we had one song, and now we have two. 1, 2, 5. It must be 5 songs. 5 songs for Barnabas right now. Yeah, because Fire Falls was already finished for the last album, but we had too many songs, so we kept Fire Falls for the third album, actually. And what I said, I don't know if you know that, Danny. It's not by hazard that the opening song of each album is sung by yours truly, because you were actually the first singer who wrote back, yeah, I'm in with this project. So your yes was the birth of Barnabas Guy, and therefore I always want a song with you to open the album. Yeah, I thought that was a nice story and maybe nice for you to get to know. Yeah. But to answer the question, I write music because I just need to get this music out whenever I feel like doing so. And yeah, I'm convinced that singers, I wouldn't say do a better job, but I like singers to sing the words they wrote themselves, because I think that has more authenticity than if I write some songs and send them to Danny and say, sing this. You know, I would feel strange doing so. I can write lyrics. I wrote a solo album on which I even sang. Not really good, but I sang. Yeah, and I wrote the vocals, but I don't feel like writing vocals because it's not something that makes me feel, I don't know, creatively fulfilled. My creativity is fulfilled when I have a song, the music for a song that's finished. But then I need someone who adds lyrics and a cool vocal melody. Yeah.
So I have a question for you then. So have you ever gotten something back from a singer, your music, you give it to a singer, you get this stuff back and you go, oh, no, that's not what I want.
Twice.
Yeah?
Twice, yeah. Twice with one of my main bands. I won't name the band, which I have for several times with the previous singer, where I said, no, this doesn't really work for me. And once indeed really with, I can name that, with Lazarus Dream, the other project, ongoing project with the singer Carsten Schulz. And the thing was that he did not really get the arrangement. He sang where he wasn't supposed to sing, and he had his mouth where he was supposed it was terrible. It was a complete mess. And I wrote to him, that's a complete mess, we skipped this track. And that really, really, made him feel, I don't know, sad or pissed off. I don't know. He said, give me a second chance. And then he redid it. And it became a single, The Sweetest Chaos. It even became a video. But the first thing he sent back, I was like, oh my God. It wasn't bad, but he just sang. It was quite he did not understand the arrangement. Because I usually never say, this is the verse, this is the pre-chorus, this is the chorus, because I think that the parts speak for themselves. In this case, obviously they didn't, and I was wrong.
But yeah, I mean, if you're a songwriter, which you are, even if you're not touching lyrics and melody, I know that as a writer, you have at least something in your mind of, it will probably sound like this when he sings, you know? And that can be, this is what I was going to explain to Richie, is that this is a very difficult way of writing songs.
Yeah, I know.
I think as a songwriter myself, the best stuff, usually the lyrics and melody come right away together. And as a singer, you know how you're going to sing it. So now it's time to grab the guitar and figure out what the chords are behind what you've done. Writing lyrics and melody to pre-made music is very, very hard. And part of that is just, you're always worried that the other writer is going to come back and go, oh my God, no, that's fucking horrible, and you're kind of stuck. So, with this song, it's what I try to do is I try to understand more than anything, the mood, how it makes me feel. And when this song breaks down into the verse and you've just got that, that bass line, this, To me, it sounds very like, oh shit, something's happening, something's coming. And that's the first impression I got. Like, and it may not be something good, It's just there could be trouble, And
it has something threatening. Yeah, I know, it's a marking, threatening thing to it. Yeah.
So that's the first thing that I got, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go with that. What's threatening? Well, Vikings, they're very fucking threatening.
So what was the inspiration for the sign of the wolf?
Like I said, the emotion was there, and I just thought it would be so much fun because I don't get that opportunity. I don't do that sort of thing in Tyketto music or my music, to go to the far kind of fantasy end of things.
So like Rolling James Dio, for example. This was I thought about this,
Very much thinking of Dio when I wrote it,
That's what I thought.
It's like, it's just like, let it go. Let's have some fun. It's not my normal road. So it's like, let's try this road and see what happens.
Yeah. And wasn't it like a little similar to the first song on the first album, the Legends Rise song? Wasn't it a little bit similar concerning the subject?
I think so. Yeah, I don't remember now. I'd have to go back and look at the lyrics. It's been a while.
I think you wrote to me that you were reading some book about Scandinavian mystics, stuff like that. I don't know. It was something like that. And yeah.
It's. I mean, let's face it. That never stops being cool. Just go to Sweden Rock and walk around. Wearing Thor's hammer, and it's just. So that never stops being cool. So it's fun to experiment in other areas where you're not familiar.
Yeah.
Absolute cool. And I agree so much with you, because I had the honor to have a song, actually 2 songs with Markus. And I remember for my song Higher Power, I had the chorus in my head, so I sang it to him, only the chorus, and so here's the chorus, and he's so talented, this guy. He hits a guitar. Okay, what how the tempo, and he okay, I know what to do, and then I understand now the pressure. He sent me a complete track, but I produced the album, so I know. He has some parts in it. I don't know what to do here. So then I thought, okay, maybe I put a saxophone. So I surprised him because he had no idea that I had a saxophone in mind. And when I recorded my part and I sent it to Markus, and I was like, oh, so nervous. If he says maybe, oh, sorry, this is not a song I wrote actually. Maybe you fucked the song up. Excuse my French. And then he wrote me back. He says, wow, I love it. And I felt so relieved, because I was worried that I messed up his song, because this was actually only the chorus was mine, but his whole song. And I understand what you said before.
When you do collaboration, you have to, not every artist is good at it. You have to be able to understand that the person you're working with doesn't approach music the way you do. And that should be a good thing. Where somebody comes along and plays a saxophone, you go, I never would have come up with that.
Yeah, that was my part. I was like, how cool is that? I would have never come up with the saxophone. Yeah, and that's why it's quite the contrary. When like what you said, Danny, if I have a song, that's the bass. I mean, no one really listens to what I play with the bass guitar or the keyboards. People listen to the vocals. So whatever someone adds to it, I usually say I wouldn't have thought of what this person added to the song. So usually that's why I say, like, with how many songs do I have registered with the GEMA? I think 250. And with 2 songs it didn't really work out the way I felt it had to. But just to mention what Richie said, Richie, of course, we were having a call by WhatsApp, and he just sang this short line. So this is what you said, Danny. I had this vocal line. He was like, higher power. Now I was like, this is 92 beats per minute, and I immediately, this is one of my favorite tempos. I just know I'm the living beats per minute analyzing machine. I'm really, I was like, ta-dang, ta-dang, ta-dang. This is 92. And if I know I can write a song in this tempo, I can write you 100 songs with this tempo, because this is one of my favorite riffing tempo, you know? And that's why I said to Richie, I have this vocal line, this will become the chorus, the rest will, come by itself. But the first thing was the vocal line, the vocal melody. This was I don't know if it's in English, but the nucleus?
Yeah.
The nucleus of the song. Yeah.
All right. So now we know the song because we have more guests, and the next part will be actually my favorite song so far. Because I love this song. Maybe Markus knows what songs comes now, and this is alone the riff. It's amazing, and this is What Comes to Light.
Yeah.
I love this song. This is a fantastic, and there's everything perfect on the song. As I would say, we listen first, and then you give me a story how this came along. Okay, here is What Comes to Light from 2022.
3 years ago.
What Comes to Light. This could actually be our kick-out song for tonight, because he has such a positive vibe again. And so when you heard the first time, did you get this song completely demo, like the original now, this version, or how you got it, Danny?
It's tough to remember. 22, we were just coming out of COVID, so I think there was a bit of that going on in my head with writing that song, because I don't know, everywhere was different, but in the early part of COVID here in Spain, we couldn't leave our houses for 47 days. Like, could not go out for any reason. It was like Planet of the Apes on the beach out there. There was nothing. And I think I seem to remember wanting to write something about, this is going to get better. That there is a light at the end of a tunnel somewhere. And I seem to remember that's what the lyrical inspiration was. You caught me off guard. I'd have to look and go back and look at my files and read the lyrics, and I have a better memory of what was going on at the time. But I don't.
You will never forget the pandemic. This will be always in you. And I think this was this was the start of the show in 2021. This was my first year, the show. Now we have 940, 50 actually already, 950 show since then, and so without pandemic, no show. But I understand this dark times, this was like nobody knew what's happening, what's going on, and 2022, the first glimpse of hope. They say, okay, yeah, maybe we did it, and going back. And I was watching Wacken, for example, and the streams, and I thought, now it's like 20 years ago, this pandemic, because it was such a horrible time, for musicians, for fans, for everybody around the world. And this is the first time. Maybe this brings this to a closure, that now maybe you are happy to sing your songs again, to have the opportunity to sing your old songs again, because now you know how is it if you can't sing your songs again.
Oh,
because you are locked in, we
all felt that way, and nobody knew. Plus, the impact that's had on the music business is going to go on for another 10 years easy.
Yes.
Which unfortunately it's made things harder. But I was happy. I was hoping that there would be more of an appreciation of live music once it had been taken away from us. But unfortunately, people get comfortable quickly. And so it's the same as it ever was. You say, Tyketto is doing a tour of Germany, and you announce all the dates, and you get all the first string of comments is, why no Italy? What about Brazil? Why aren't you playing it? Oh, come on.
Yeah. Why not in my hometown? Yeah. Right. That's the kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You just say, oh, you forgot. So soon you forgot.
Yeah. But when I read it, I was thinking that, and I don't know if you remember, Danny, with my band Winterland, we supported Tyketto in 2014 in Mannheim in the Siebener Club. There was Tri-State Corner also on the bill. We were the opening. I really wanted to open this week, and I contacted the guy who organized the gig, which was the chief editor of the Breakout magazine, actually, Mike Möller. And I told him, I design a festival poster for you if you let me support Tyketto. Yeah, it was, the poster is still in my living room there. I can show it to you.
Do you remember, why I remember that gig always? Do you remember that sound man in that club?
Terrible, yeah.
He was completely crazy. He looked exactly like Harpo Marx.
Yeah.
Okay? And he'd be at the board and he'd go,
it's like, I don't know.
What is he doing? He was mental.
He was a complete mess, but the sound indeed was pretty good, actually. I go to this club sometimes. I saw Riot play there a few months ago. It was incredible, and it's still that sound guy. So Yeah,
Wow.
whatever. What I wanted to say is, you and me, we just exchanged a few words while you were tuning your 12-string guitar on the stage, but it was just a few words. And when I saw that you're coming back with Tyketto this year, next month actually, you will be in Bensheim. And Bensheim, that's a funny story. Bensheim is the city where the studio is located, where all Barnabas Guy songs get mastered.
Ah, okay.
Mastering studio, that's Empire Studios by Rolf Munkes, is in Bensheim. I don't know how far it is from the club Rex, but it's about 1 hour from where I live. So, yeah, if I'm healthy and whatever, we will see each other in about a month in Bensheim, actually. Yeah.
Good. Well, we've got a good German connection here because the new album, the new Tyketto album, was mastered by a gentleman named Dirk Ulrich, and he is from Cologne. He's currently in California at the moment, but he did an unbelievable job. The album sounds amazing. I'm really happy with it. So yeah, I've got it, and this is the first time Tyketto's done a proper tour of Germany, probably since we played together those years ago.
Yeah, I think you were in Aschaffenburg a few years ago, but this was only, I think, one off gig, and the rest was in Belgium and Netherlands, I think.
Yeah. I think we played Colossal. Is that Aschaffenburg?
Yeah.
So yeah, one here, one there, but this is the first time we're doing 8 shows. 1 is in Holland, but the rest are all in Germany.
And in Bensheim. Yeah.
Before I let you go, to wrap up this part of the interview, we need a picture. Are you ready?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Wait, my hair. Wait.
You make the signs, I press the button. Okay? Got you. Wow. Danny, what is in the pipeline? So you mentioned it before. A new Tyketto album is in the making, or is already finished?
It's finished. It will be released in March.
In March. All right. Some videos before?
Probably. Yeah, we're talking about that now.
All right.
And like I said, we haven't officially signed yet, but it is actually, once again, a German label that we'll probably be signed to.
Markus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he knows all the labels already.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay.
Now,
the ones that rejected my albums here. No. Whatever.
All right. Danny Vaughn, it was an honor to have you on the show. What a legend.
I was looking forward to it so I could finally meet Markus.
Yeah, indeed. Finally, yeah.
It's a shame. Markus is a regular visitor to where I live in the south of Spain, but every time he's here, we kind of miss each other. So.
Yeah, last time, just one or few days, I wanted to meet with him for a coffee on my way to Tarifa, where I did some whale watching. And just the day before I went down to Tarifa for the whale watching, he flew, to another country. So whatever. So
story of my life.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. This was Danny Vaughn, legendary Tyketto singer. Unbelievable. You have a fan with me. I repeat myself. I love it. You are forever young, my friend. Look at you.
Oh, thank you. We're trying. It's harder work. I can tell you that much.
And hopefully I see you then in 2026, my friend.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
And I will say goodbye to you till the end of time from Jesse Damon. And then we continue our interview. Danny, I salute you.
Okay. Wiedersehen.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot. Wiedersehen. Dankeschön. Tschüss.
I've read about stories that came alive. From age to age, a legend never dies. trust we make good choices to help us to survive till the end of time. Man competes to stay alive. Hear the cry in their voices. The fight to live or die. Till the end of time, we need to keep our hope alive and trust we make good choices to help us to survive. Till the end of time, we need to keep our hope alive. We trust we make good choices to help us to survive. Till the end of time.
So, mein lieber Markus, wir haben unseren nächsten Gast schon, der ist schon eingeloggt. Eine große Ehre, natürlich wieder ein Schnäppchen, was der Markus heute mitbringt. Und zwar, aber erstmal gehen wir ins Album nochmal What Comes to Light rein. Nämlich da ist er schon mit dabei. Nämlich, du darfst wieder ankündigen, wer ist es?
Dirk Kennedy von Hitman, tatsächlich aus Long Island, New York, ja.
Genau. Und wir hören das mal Seven Wonders. Und dann, wir sagen, lass man schon rein. Okay?
Ja,
Hier ist aus dem Album What Comes to Light. Hier ist Seven Wonders featuring Dirk Kennedy.
Seven wonders, souls ripped and torn. left of this promised land. We had the chance, but then he forced our hands. At his command, we return to say, our time ran out in the final hour. Refused to talk, so then he used the power. Fire showers, rains and rain. Communications, hear our pleas. Inside this ring of fire, let's leave. We had the 7 wonders, then left it all to plunder. Calculate, manipulate, hold the pain. There's always just one player behind it, and still been better to be like him. Raise the seed that fuels the greed and the pain. Tomorrow's dying fathers and mothers, sisters and brothers, innocent lives just tortured and smothered. What of this madman? What was his game plan? No one had the courage to respect the world in front of him. We built the 7 wonders, souls ripped and torn asunder. I believed, yes, I believed in a way. We built the 7 wonders, souls ripped and torn asunder. Calculate, manipulate, hold the pain. Mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, innocent lives of torture and slaughter. What of this madman? What was his game plan? Oh, tomorrow's dying day.
Ein super geiler Song. Das ganze Album ist sowieso der Wahnsinn. Kann ich nur empfehlen da draußen. Ihr da draußen. Jetzt müssen wir wieder switchen zum Englischen, denn unser Gast kommt aus USA. Und ich würde sagen, lass man rein. Welcome to the show, the legend, the man, Dirk Kennedy.
Legend in my own mind.
Hello.
Thanks for having me on the show and to be here with my buddy Markus, who's a friggin' genius.
Thank you very much. You're flattering me.
We all think that, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, he is absolute amazing. What guy is he? What vocalist he has always on the albums for all the projects is amazing.
I don't know
Markus
how he
is the
does
man.
it, but he does it. You know, I've never met anybody in my entire career that is as prolific as Markus. The guy is just a nonstop idea machine. And he's got this project, then this project, then this project, then this project, this band, this band, this band. The guy just doesn't stop creating, which is...
And when you hear the projects, the different projects,
yeah,
every project sounds different. And you hear exactly what project is it. The guitar sound, the Barnabas car has a different sound to Atlantis Drive, or
I tried. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, however, I think the normal listener mainly focuses on the voices, and therefore I try to give the songs as much room for the lyrics and the voices as possible, because I mean, of course, some guys might listen to what kind of solo I'm playing, but in fact, it's always the voice that carries the song. So yeah, that's what, of course, yeah, that's what Barnabas Sky is all about. Barnabas Sky, of all projects I have, probably is the one most focused on the voices and the singers.
I would say, in terms of general pop music and rock music, that's probably true throughout history. The voice is always the train that takes leads the track. However, don't underestimate yourself. Like, I've played your records to a bunch of people, and they're listening to the solos.
yeah,
Good on them.
I mean, it's very cool that you came up with this idea. I don't think anybody's ever done it before. And when you first approached me on it, I'm like, oh, who's this Markus Pfeffer guy? Blah, 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 blah. Then I'm like, oh, shit, Dan Reed.
Dan Reed, yeah. I remember that you said...
I'm in.
Yeah. I remember that you wrote or said that being on the same album with Dan Reed is so cool. And I don't know, Richie, you don't have this... You probably don't have the CD version of What Comes to Light. And the thing I really did to surprise Dirk was, and let me see, that I had pictures of all the singers to be placed in the booklet. And what I actually did, because Dirk said, "Oh, Dan Reed is part of the project, I'm in," because I'm a fan of Dan Reed. I had this collage being made. Yeah, and of course I had Dirk be placed right next to Dan Reed, so to say, as a small appreciation of why Dirk actually said he's becoming part of the project. I mean,
it was the sole reason. Before I heard any music, I went, "Who? Dan Reed's on your record?" Because when you're a singer in a band for so many years, you get to meet a lot of people.
Yeah,
I never met Dan Reed, and I was always a big fan. I've seen him live. I saw the Dan Reed Network at like the Cat Club a million years ago in New York City, and I was always a super fan. But I met everyone. I've met everyone. I never met Dan Reed. I was always a fan, and I was like, oh shit, I totally want to be on the record. I hope this music's good. Please, music, be good.
That's so.
Don't be Brittany Fox.
But
absolutely not.
We forgot to ask yesterday, did you ever meet Danny Vaughn? Because we recorded. Yesterday we talked to Danny Vaughn. Today we talked with you. So you and Danny Vaughn are part of the Rockcast show concerning the new.
Oh, nice!
And this is a premiere. In 950 shows, we never had 2 interviews for one. So this was two different days. And I'm
honored to be on the same show as the incomparable Danny Vaughn.
And you know what is crazy? The crazy fact that I wrote a album review for Tyketto and didn't realize that on the same night I have Danny Vaughn in the show. Yesterday. And this is absolutely amazing. I said, Danny Vaughn, hey.
Kismet.
This is what kills me. And we have another killer today with you. But
thank you.
Our show is always the same. If we want to know who is the guest, who is the I call you legend. I mean names like Hitman, the band, Anthrax, and NS. But there must be a beginning, a humble beginning. This is always this. I want to know.
It's humble currently.
Well,
it was humble then, and it's humble now.
I think the most musicians now are humble again, because the golden years are over. But still, we are rocking and rolling, But
except for
I want to know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Actually, he's pretty humble now. He did an interview with Rick Beato, and I've never seen him. And I sat in a room with that guy, and
with Ingve or with Rick?
With Ingve.
I met him in the 90s, and I must say, I said it many times, I was absolutely disappointed because he was very arrogant backstage. And that's, I always keep with me, this was very arrogant, but maybe different time. And I heard he's a very complicated guy sometimes, because I
geniuses are, and he is a genius.
Yes.
Let's be. I don't care what anybody says about Yngwie Malmsteen. The guy is a genius. There's no.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
He's a genius.
But so now I want to know now more. You are from America, so
yes.
How everything starts. What is your humble beginning? Was there instrument, or was your voice first? Was there music first? The first record, and then you was inspired by whatever singer. What is the humble beginning of Dirk Kennedy?
Well, in the simplified version is I grew up in a relatively non-musical household. Neither of my parents really listened to music, nor did they play instruments. However, I'm Irish, like a zillion % Irish, and music is innate to most Irish people. So whenever we'd go to family gatherings, there'd always be like my aunt would play accordion, and I always gravitated towards her because I loved her. She also was my godmother. But I guess it all began when my parents moved to my childhood home that I remember the most. I think I was 6 or 7 years old when we moved into this house, and there was a piano there. It was a 1901 Hallett Davis piano, and it was in the house. They left it there because the house had not been lived in for 40 years. It was owned by some spinsters, some old ladies that their other sister had died, and so there was a piano in the living room, and I immediately couldn't get my hands off the piano. So I started out with that, and I started taking lessons because I could play by ear. And I wound up becoming like the go-to guy in music class at school. My parents decided to give me private lessons, which I did. And I'm not the best student in the whole wide world. So when people are trying to tell me what to do, I tend to just want to go on my own. And then I discovered rock music. First it was classical music, and then I got into rock music. My older sister is 10 years older than me, and she turned me on to, Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin and all these great, the Beatles. And so I started listening to that music. And then I decided, well, I want to be a drummer. So I begged my parents for a drum kit, and they gave me a drum kit for Christmas. And I was so bad, so terrible. And I'm left-handed. And so a lot of problems happened being a left-handed person, is that I would set it up funny, and then if the teacher didn't like he said, well, you have to learn how to play open hand instead of cross hand, and that didn't work out. So then I decided I wanted to be a guitar player, and I started taking guitar lessons. And do I have a guitar handy? Okay, so I immediately took the guitar and I did it like this, and the guy went, "Oh no, are you left-handed?" And I went, "Yeah." He goes, "Why don't we try it this way?" And I said, "Well, why?" And he said, "Listen, if you become a guitar player," and I'm not, I use guitar to write, and I want to be a guitar player, but I'm no guitar player. But I have too many guitars. And he said, if this ever takes, down the road, you'll be able to find the instruments that you want easily, and they'll be much cheaper because left-handed instruments are rarer, and the models that you like oftentimes don't come in left-handed models. So I thank this guy, Jay, who taught me how to play guitar when I was very, very young, because he made me play guitar like a right-handed person. And now I've got like 16 guitars, and half of them don't come in left-handed. So, but the road to singing is very simple. I started out in bands, and I was always the better singer than the singer. So everybody was like, why don't we let him sing the song? And I would piss off all the singers. And finally, I just gave my friend Joey Dawson my drum kit, and I just took the mic, and I didn't look back.
Cool.
And then I had to figure out how to learn how to sing properly. So
I just remember you said Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin. So to have the first Ian Pace and Bonzo as the drum.
I mean, when I was a kid, it was like Peter Criss and Ringo. Okay. I didn't have enough time as a drummer to get into all the influences, So it was a very short, maybe a year, where I tried to become a drummer, and it didn't work out. But the singing thing happened. My first love was David Cassidy from the Partridge Family. I wanted to be him. Then I wanted to be Elton John. And then my sister hit me with all those records. And so I wound up falling madly in love with Ronnie James Dio. He was my number one inspiration. And
Cool.
I had gotten Heaven and Hell. I was not a Black Sabbath fan, though I had seen them with Ozzy because my sister took me to a show and I saw them play with Van Halen. I think it was 1978.
This was the famous tour when Van Halen kicked their ass, no?
Van Halen destroyed them. Black Sabbath. I remember not being so unimpressed by.
It was after Never Say Die tour, right?
It was the Never Say Die tour. So I didn't care much about the Sabbath thing. And then 2 years later, somebody turned me on to Heaven and Hell, and when it had just come out, and I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest singer I've ever heard in my life. And then I started to do the backtracking, finding out about Rainbow, and then of course eventually finding out about Elf, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I started taking voice lessons, and I said, I want to sound like this. And of course the teacher, who was classical, she's like, well, we could get around to that eventually. But so I took some lessons for a while, and then the most fateful thing that ever happened to me was I had a friend name another Pfeffer.
Pfeffer,
Mitch Pfeffer, yes. My friend Mitch Pfeffer, who was in a band called Diamond. His name is Mitch Diamond. His real name is Mitch Pfeffer. And he had a band that did Deep Purple and Rainbow. And we used to sneak into the club to go see them. He had this great singer named Bobby Ring, and he had a guy with a B3, and he was the man in black with his Strat, the whole thing. He had the hair. He was Richie. And I loved them so much. Well, Bob Ring quit the band. So he goes, well, I heard you're a big Ronnie James Dio fan. Why don't you come and we're going to play this little crappy gig in Brooklyn. You come up and why don't you sing Stargazer with us? And I was like, oh God, Stargazer, amazing. Can I do it? Not really. So I got to this gig, and halfway through the song, I realized I wasn't prepared. And then afterward, the other guest singer they had was this lovely guy named Ron. He said, you know, you've got the makings of a pretty good voice. Why don't I give you the name of my voice teacher? And that changed my life, because I went to see Marty Lawrence, and he was up on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and I'm from Queens, New York City. And I studied with him for years. And he was the guy that taught like Jolyn Turner and Cyndi Lauper and everybody else. Now, his son, Don Lawrence, because Marty is now deceased, his son, Don Lawrence, is Tony Harnell. Tony, I think, went to Marty first.
I think
did I told you that story, right? I auditioned for Tony Harnell's band, Jackals, after I started to become a pretty good singer, and somebody heard a tape I did, and their managers said, our singer just left to join some Norwegian band. Come and audition for us. And I'll never forget the song. It was called Open Your Eyes. I wish I had a copy of it, because I couldn't sing it at the time. It was out of my range. I wasn't ready yet, you know? And then I was taking lessons with Marty Lawrence, and the guy said, oh yeah, Tony studies with him. So I knew, oh shit. You know, and Tony wasn't anybody yet. So I realized, not yet. No, he wasn't. Nobody had ever heard of Jackals. You know, obviously Knights of New Thunder, et cetera, et cetera.
After he had 10,000 lovers.
Yeah.
No, after you heard Seven Seas. That was the Knights of New Thunder. Remember that? Long ago we came with fury. Remember that one? Cross the oceans of the world. Oh, no. Seven Seas. Go listen to that song. Okay. My head exploded. No. The Knights of the New Thunder is that was Tell No Tales. That was the record after that. I'm a fan, so as you can tell. So Tony Harnell, and then of course later on Tony Harnell and I had the same lawyer and all this stuff. But yeah, so it started me on my journey, and I started taking lessons with Marty Lawrence, who is a legendary voice teacher, and his son is now Lady Gaga's guy. She flies him in and out of her tours, and nobody can get a gig with that guy because he only works with Lady Gaga now. That's it. You know, it's like her personal voice teacher. So yeah, and that started me on my journey, and you know, and then the weird Anthrax thing happened, and the journey didn't happen
tonight here. So now we need how we come to this album now. I want to know first, Markus, how you, because I know Markus, he writes riffs and song, and then he thinks, what voice could fit? So Markus, give me the story before we talk about these fantastic 2 songs. I listened to the songs today extra to be prepared and say, what the Scirocco San, what a 9-minute masterpiece. But first, I want to know, what was the trigger?
The thing, it was mainly just what you mentioned, the length of the song. The Scirocco Sands is probably the longest song I ever wrote and arranged. It wasn't originally planned to be that long, but somehow, it became. I was starting to work on that song with the intro. Of course, the intro has something like 1.5 or 2 minutes before even the first verse starts. Then I came up with several riffs, and I thought, will I make 2 songs of that or 1? But I thought it belongs together somehow. Then suddenly that song became something like 8 or 9 minutes long. I was like, wow! So I just wrote the song. And when I saw that this song becomes 9 minutes long, my initial thought was, this song has to be a Dirk Kennedy song, because I thought of the song Mercy, the last track on Viva's Machina, one of my favorite albums of the 90s. I think it was something like 8.5 minutes long, because Hitman was something, that album was something in between Extreme and Queensryche, you know. And that song Mercy was more progressive, pretty long, pretty dramatic. And I just initially, when I thought of Dirk's voice in that song, I thought, that song is just like made for Dirk. And therefore I decided to ask him if he would like to write lyrics for that 9-minute opus, so to say. One by one is another story, but I have to add that Scirocco Sands was already almost finished for the last album, but I wanted to keep it for that one, because the last album would have had something like 14 songs. It would have been too much for the listener to really listen to with 100% of attention. So I thought I might keep that one for the 3rd album. However, I have to admit, until today, I have not really 100% understood what the lyrics are about.
That's his part now, because it's I guess you have the melody, you have the composition, but no title, right? So Scirocco Sands came from Dirk.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now it's your part. How you came up with this Scirocco? Because this is I think I never heard in a song title Scirocco. This is the very
well, you know what a Scirocco is, right?
It was a car. Right?
No, the wind.
That's great. And you know what? Chuck Corey from Hitman used to pick me up every day from the train station in a Volkswagen Scirocco.
I was a little bit shocked. So maybe I'm wrong, but the only thing
we co-branded with Volkswagen for this new album. They're sponsoring it.
A Scirocco was in the 80s, right?
A Scirocco is a desert storm. A Scirocco is a pattern like a typhoon or a tornado. A Scirocco is a sandstorm.
Coming from Africa.
From Africa.
The north of Africa to the south of Spain or France. And guess what? I knew what Scirocco means, because, and that's a very strange coincidence, if I might add that, with the first vacation I spent with my parents when I was 3 years old on a camping place in the south of France, we needed to leave that camping place at the middle of the night because of a Scirocco storm.
There you go. And
So
it takes no prisoners. It's over.
My dad
You're in a Scirocco, you're dead.
It was a warm wind and storm in the south of France, and my dad told me it's coming from the north of Africa. So therefore I knew when he came up with that title, I was like, wow, Scirocco Sands. What? I don't know. I had some goosebumps because I was thinking of that experience when I was a child.
I didn't know that.
My father told me what Scirocco is all about. Yeah.
I heard about Sahara sands like this, but I never heard Scirocco sands.
Well, sometimes Dubai, you'll see a Dubai weather. I've never been there, but you see that they'll have like that wall of sand and dense air coming at them, and then there's like a warning. And it's similar to that. It's something that, you know, throughout time, people in the desert, the Sahara Desert, etc., it would take entire communities out, because you can't survive that, because you're just being pelted. The air turns into sand and you suffocate. So
I lost a flight in 2014 to Abu Dhabi, from Bangkok to Abu Dhabi, because of a sandstorm. There was no landing and no departure, and so I lost my flight because of this, and had a concert the next day. So, but it's a different story.
No.
This was, and that I learned something very important. Never ever I have a flight the day before a show. Never ever.
Yeah.
I have always a buffer, always between a day. I learned my lesson. 2014. Never forget this.
And you're not one of
All
those
right.
rock stars that's drinking too much and you just missed your flight.
This is their fault, but I swear to myself, it was so stressful to find to get, but it's a different story.
Terrible.
All right, we listening in a back. This is different today, this interview. So because there's no video for this song, so we listen to the song during your story.
Oh,
and cool. so you heard the music, and this inspired you to write about this.
I have to say that the writing process for Markus is very easy, because he gives you. Now, listen. I was in a band for 100 years, and I write songs by myself, but I collaborate too, and I hadn't collaborated in a long time, and even on that reformation Hitman record, there was like zero collaboration, because we were all in faraway places. Yes, we'd work on each other's songs, etc. But to actually, like, somebody hand me a song and say write lyrics, I was like, oh, this is going to be really hard. It was super duper easy, because he doesn't give you a song unless he thinks, one, your voice is going to be the right voice for it. Like, so he makes sure key wise that it's in your range, that it's comfortable, and that stylistically the music will lend itself to the characteristics of what you are and what you have already done as a singer. So he knew what was comfortable for me. So, Seven Wonders was the first one we worked on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it had a different title. I changed the title at the last minute, because what was the original title of that? I had to change it because there were too many. Tomorrow. There were too many Tomorrows and Dies titles on his.
Right. Yeah, we had a song called No Tomorrow, another song, and we would have had three song titles on the album.
Tomorrow's Dying Day, I think it was called.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I went,
Till My Dying Days.
We can't do that.
Dying Song and No Tomorrow. Yeah.
That would be like having, Dr. Feel Good, Mr. Feel Good, everybody feels good. You don't want too many things.
No, Dying Day, I think that was it, something like that.
We picked that out of a hat. And Seven Wonders, because I say it in the chorus, I was like, okay, that makes sense. We actually talked about it. So it wasn't like I just said, all right, it's called this now. No, we talked about it and decided that was a mutual decision that we made. It's effortless to write with Markus, because he knows who you are. He knows who his singers are, and he knows what the material is going to be, and it's going to be comfortable. Now, can you come up with the goods? That's another thing. I found it extraordinarily easy to write with him, and I've never actually had a relationship with a musician where it was that easy. But I think it's because he does his homework.
Thank you very much.
For you, it was easier this time because you knew already what style music he's playing.
I didn't know anything. I didn't know who he was, what he was. I didn't know anything. I was in because the Dan Reed was on the record.
The new album, I mean.
Oh, well, okay. So like he said, Scirocco Sands we did for the first record. So I recorded 2 songs for the first album. We just never got around to finishing it. And can I just say bravo to you, because people are making records that are far too long now. I am a music fan that all the records that I grew up with are 35 minutes long. There's 4 or 5 songs on each side. And once the advent of CD came around, records have 14, 16, 17, 18 songs, and they're all filler. And people now felt that they have to fill the CD up with music, and it diluted the music. And I blame I blame the artists, not the industry, not anything. I think everybody just started to try to put too much music on records. All our favorite records are probably 35 or 40 minutes records. All the great records are not that long. And then we started bombarding people with too much music, and people got fatigued, ear fatigued, listening fatigue, because you know what, put your best music on a record. And so the record's 32 minutes long. Some of my favorite, like, how long is Van Halen one? I don't know. What is it? 28 minutes, the whole record? I don't know.
Yeah, some more.
Yeah. So we had that fight not fight. We talked about when we did the Destroy All Humans, the reformation for Hitman record, there's 8 songs on it. One of them's really long. Well, 2 of them are really long, but still, we didn't want to bog down people. And that was such a smart move, because Scirocco Sands is really long and it's at the end of a record, right? It's shit. Are people going to be bored by the time they get there? You don't want that. You don't want that. You want to please the listener by, every single song leads into something that's fresh. And by the time you get around after 40, 45 minutes, you're going to give them an epic. I'm going to bed. You know what I mean? So I think that was really smart. So kudos to you for being smart enough to do that. So yeah, we did 2 for the first record. And then One by One, that happened in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, the thing with One by One, therefore I didn't mention it.
Good cue, because the next song we talk about this. So let's talk about One by One.
Yeah, One by One was something which came completely unplanned for myself. The Barnabas Sky album was finished, so to say, but in last winter, I had some really terrible things going on in my private life, and I wrote riffs and riffs and riffs to deal with that, and the riffs became harder and the songs became darker, and One by One is a pretty dark song. I was messing around with the keyboard behind me, and I had that keyboard melody, which was pretty melancholic. I can't really play piano or keyboard, but I can play a melody I have in my head. And I had this keyboard melody, I just looped it. And then I said, okay, what would a cool guitar player play with that synthesizer hook line? And I down-tuned my guitar and just hit that heavy riff, a really, really heavy riff. This has nothing to do with melodic rock. That's a heavy metal riff. And in the end of the evening, I had this really, really dark and heavy song. And I thought, what am I gonna do with that song? And I don't know why, but it immediately struck me that this is a Dirk Kennedy song. I can't say why. I don't know. I really don't. I have 5 projects: Winterland, Lazarus Dream, Barnabas Sky, Mystery Moon. But I knew this is a Dirk Kennedy song. And then I sent it to him and said, hey, I got a new song, and I think this is one that has to be sung by you. Maybe you have idea for lyrics and stuff, and he had things going on in his life that inspired him, and I think the lyrics were written 2 days after that or something like that. Definitely. It was finished within a few days. Because he was dealing with things it's quite similar to which I was dealing with.
We went through very similar stuff,
much worse than what I was dealing with. So anyway, I think there was some kind of spiritual connection that made that song happen and actually be finished so quickly. Therefore, it's a really special song for myself. It's not one.
Me too.
One of the 250 songs I wrote within the last 30 years. It's a very, very special song. One of 3 very special songs.
That's neat. Thank you for letting me be a part of that. Because it was the right song. I wasn't working on any music at all. It wasn't. My life was juggling so much junk, and this little gem came along, and it took me out of my headspace, so I could be creative. And I was kind of sad that it happened so fast, because I was like, oh shit, I just sent it and it's done now. And he's like, I love it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's it. There was very little back and forth. Sometimes there is, because you have to do that, Because I think the only correction, or I hate to use that word, was I asked Markus. I said, can we extend this by 1 or 4 bars? Because sometimes you want to get the thought out, and you can't do the math, because music is math, let's face it.
Well, what is this in a short version? What is the story for One by One?
I'm not a big fan of telling people what lyrics are about, and I'll tell you why. Because I think people, when you hear artists over-explain a lyric, I'm done. Because now you just took away my imagination. You took away my dreams. You took away. It's like what music videos did. You hear. Imagine if there was a music video for Hotel California or Heaven and Hell, where there was a story, and all of a sudden everything that you ever dreamed of in your head, and how you could apply that to your own life, and how you could see the similarities, and how it could make you latch onto the song. I think lyrics, like poetry, or they should be left. I mean, it's not like I got in my car and I drove like mad till I reached Judy's. It's not a train of thought. There's something in there that was very personal, not only for myself, but at that time for Markus. And I was running through my brain about what I was feeling. And I hope that maybe some other people might be able to take a piece of that. So I'm not a big fan of over-explaining lyrics. And whenever anybody's asked me about Hitman lyrics, I always just say, well, what do you think it's about? Because it takes away the dream. And I hate that, because art for me, when you look at a painting, it should be something totally different to each viewer. When you go see, The Night Watch by Rembrandt, or, you go to see Picasso or something abstract, everyone is going to see that art, and it's going to reflect a different emotion for them. So I feel like if you over-explain lyrics, it's like, yeah, well, I had this girl and she was this, and I got a dog and my cat, and then she was drinking, and then there was this guy at a bar. It becomes like, oh, I don't love that song anymore.
When I had to say a feeling when I listen complete, only 6 songs, it's the Rainbow Rising, and you have no video, so you have only the sound and the voice, and you hear Stargazer or Terrored Woman. Or
imagine if there was a video for Stargazer. Yes, it would ruin the song.
It would absolutely, I agree. That's
what are we gonna, a Tower of Stone, and it's gonna be cheesy because they had no money.
For example, the videos with Dio, like Last in Line, this is over the top. It's too much.
I mean, that was the kid, and he's going to hell, and
yes,
and Dio. Listen, not everybody can be, one of these beautiful video stars. All these, certain people look great in videos, and they make, like Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi didn't go anywhere until You Give Love a Bad Name. He had 2 flop albums that nobody cared about, and then all of a sudden he's like, shot through the heart, and he's beautiful, and all of a sudden the whole world is like, holy shit. Yeah, I mean, the songs are great.
That was what made me start thinking of becoming a rock musician. You Give Love a Bad Name and The Final Countdown, these two, it was not the songs, it was the videos. You're absolutely right. I saw these guys, with the hair. I mean, I had hair when I was younger too. Yeah, I wanted to be that kind of rock star guy too. Of course, yeah.
Videos, and I'm so grateful. I am so grateful that SPV was so cheap throughout my career, and they never gave us money to do a video, because all I think of is I'm not going to cringe now when so many of my contemporaries at the time wound up making the video where the guy's in the bar with the hot girl and the hot car and all this crap, and I'm like, and we had a video draft where for Will You Be There from the first Hitman record, which was kind of like had like a lot of radio play. We're like, we have to do a video. And then SPV just didn't cough up the money, which was fine, because the video treatment was like, we had like the hot model and the Corvette and the pool at night, and it was LA, and she was my lover. And I'm like, shit, I'm gay.
So this is actually girls from Motley Crue, exactly.
like, it's like at that point, at that point in the time, like everybody in my band was like well aware of what my story was, but like you just didn't talk about that shit in the 80s,
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, please, God. And then God answered, and SPV said, no
video.
And I'm grateful because look at all the bad videos that rock got destroyed. Let's face it, grunge came in because of all the Whitesnake videos, all the Poison videos, all the Winger videos, all great shit. But the videos were so ridiculous and stupid, where everybody looked like a poodle, and they had all these strippers and models and all this crap.
And Enough's Enough, it looks like girls. I mean, Enough's Enough had really good songs. I really appreciate them till today. But their videos, they say their videos destroyed their careers, which was really, really sad. However, let me add, because we talked to Danny Vaughn before. However, us in Europe, we didn't have MTV in Europe during that time, the late 80s and early 90s. But we had Super Channel, which was coming from the UK. And Super Channel was playing rock and hard rock songs all day long. So I discovered Enough's Enough and Forever Young by Tyketto because it was playing like every hour on that channel. Super Channel was a music channel, long defunct now. So I was discovering
like MTV.
Yeah, I was discovering Tyketto, which was my favorite band when I was finishing high school, through the videos. So at least that helped us here in Europe to get to know the bands, because we had no rock radio stations or something like that. But of course, I completely agree. Most of the videos, not all,
except for Europe, it made them.
Yeah.
The final countdown. But the reaction, the death of metal, the death of hard rock and metal was a reaction to the preposterousness of the whole situation. And like all of a sudden now you got the guys in the torn sweaters with the staring down at their shoes because everybody just wanted something more authentic. So I get it, and that's cool.
Yeah,
I get it.
Gentlemen, before we wrap up the interview, this will be a very long show because we had already yesterday a long session. Dirk, what is in the pipeline for you for the near future?
Well, it's very interesting that he should say this. This is not a new record, but it's an interesting one. We are currently we're reissuing Vivis Machina, the second Hitman record, because all of we signed with we have a distribution deal with a Greek record company that did a very good job on the re-release of our first album and the new studio record, which is not new anymore, Destroy All Humans. And then they contacted us and they said, well, Vivis Machina was never released on vinyl. Would you like to do that? And we had a big problem. And the problem was, that entire project was overseen, produced, engineered, and mixed by Bob St. John, who did Duran and all the Extreme records and all that stuff. And we were very close to him. He mixed Destroy All Humans. There's no cymbals on that record. Somehow, some way, we don't know what happened. None of us did drugs. Nobody was an alcoholic. I don't know what happened. Bob doesn't know. There's no cymbals on that record if you listen to it. I mean, you probably don't notice it, but there's no cymbals, no hi-hats, nothing. So I said, okay, if we're going to do this, I'm going to call Bob, I'm going to call Jimmy, I'm going to call Mark Jenkins, our drummer, and we're going to figure out a way to fix this. We couldn't get the multi-tracks. We looked everywhere. Nobody's got the 48 tracks because it's 2-inch analog, two machines. So enter the magic world of digital. Bob St. John used AI to separate tracks. We found the cymbals. Mark's they're replaying the cymbals, and then we're going to remix the whole record. Yeah, we're doing cymbal replacement to give it, and then Bob's going to give it a whole new sheen. So we're in the middle of going through each song right now and fixing it so it's exactly and giving it a modern update and a remastering. And we're going to change a couple of things with the packaging. So that's what's going on with that. And I hope, because listen, we wrote another Hitman record after Destroy All Humans, and after we had the opportunity to play keep it true and up the hammers. And then COVID happened, and then it turns out, like all things in life, nobody wanted to date us anymore. Everybody couldn't wait to date us. And then after we played those 2 shows in COVID, we thought, okay, we can't wait because we were ready to go. Let's do all the festivals. I love doing festivals. Oh,
but I know somebody who want to have Hitman in the show.
Oh,
Guess
yeah?
who?
Who?
Me.
Oh, well then, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I want to play Wacken, man. What the fuck? I see all these bands on there, like, who the fuck are these bands?
Yeah.
Like, I never heard of them, and they're headlining. I'm like, who is that? I was like, can't we play, like, on the shitty stage at Wacken? I want to play. I mean, I want to play on the B2C stage. And then they're like, the garbage cans and, the 5 high stilettos, all these names of, I'm like, who is that? And then I see Europe's on the bill, and I love Europe. I don't know about you, but like Key Marcello is like one of my favorite guitar players ever in the history of the world.
Yeah.
I'm a Key guy, not a John Norum guy. I'm a Key guy. Ja.
Ihr da draußen, nochmal ein kurzes Deutsch. Danke fürs Zuschauen. Das war eine sehr lange Show mit viel Musik und viel Gequatsche. Sorry, jetzt muss wieder mal Englisch sein. Für alle, die Bahnhof verstanden haben, sorry. Ja, aber wir haben auch gestern noch viele, oder eigentlich in einer Show. Gestern heißt in einer Show jetzt zusammen. Markus hatte viel Deutsch gesprochen im ersten Teil der Sendung. Und danke fürs Zuschauen. Und das war Barnabas Kai mit dem brandneuen Album. Ihr draußen, holt das Album. Ich habe es durchgehört. Ein Monsteralbum, ein Masterpiece. Und natürlich mit solchen Sänger, da kann nichts mehr verkehrt machen, oder? Und ich bin gespannt, was der Markus noch alles raushaut.
Schauen wir mal.
Schauen wir mal. Thank you so much. Dirk
Thank you
Kennedy,
very much.
I salute you. Ihr da
I
draußen.
salute you both.
Eine
Thank
gute
you very
Nacht.
much.
Und ciao. Bis zum nächsten Mal.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Cheers.
It was cold, early morning, couldn't think, and the sky looked dark and gray. But I couldn't find my way back home. Lost the horizon, couldn't breathe. Can I face another day? I know I can.
Diese Show wurde euch präsentiert von Newton Artworks. And don't forget, like, subscribe and hit the bell. Thank you for watching. We salute you.